Hello and welcome to this video, guys. Today we're going to look into SSG, so static site generation, which is a technique used to generate static HTML pages at build time instead of generating them on the server on each request. So there are a couple of reasons to why you want to do this, and it usually has to do with performance, scalability. It can also reduce server costs. So imagine that the pages are being generated in build time and the pages will be there. So there's no need to actually call the backend once again to fetch data and so on. So it will all be static site generated. All right, so let's jump into it. In this example here, in this code, we are essentially having a normal way of doing it on the client side. So maybe you would have a use effect, and in which you're fetching something from an API that we have. So in order for us to actually add static site generation, it's quite easy to do this within Next.js. So let's navigate to the bottom of this page. So doing this, we can add export async function. So here we'll have static props, and then in here we'll have const data, and here we're going to use the API that we had up here, and with the await we're also going to say that const this is res, and const data is going to equal to res.json, and here we're only going to return the actual data within the props, which essentially means that we will be able to listen for it in the component. So let's go ahead and remove all of this boilerplate code, and as you can see here to the right before I save, this is how the code looked like before. It fetches the data from the backend and previews it here on the screen. So it does it on the client side, so which means nothing is server side rendered. So if I would search for this title here, going through the Control U to open the source, searching from it, we can in fact not see it. Now it's being visible here because we have a lot of metadata and so on, but in theory it would not be visible. So if I now search for it again, we can see it here. It is only the name, so it's the actual object that we can see here. It's not really the HTML or the DOM being rendered. So let's go ahead and change SSR to SSG. So what we can do now is we're passing the data here, and now we want to take it from as the input props for the home. So interface home props. Here we're going to have the data. Let's go ahead and say of type any. So here we can extract it from the object that we're passing in. So whatever we pass in here within props, we'll be able to distract it here and start using it in our component. So if I reload the page, just keep in mind that we only changed the data from being client side fetched to having it on the static side fetched. So if I save it now, we should be able to see the exact same thing that we did before. And now when I reload the page, we should be able to see it in the actual DOM as well. So if we go back here again, we can see now that it appears within the h1 tag. It's not appearing as an object or so. So in this way, we know that the static site generation was working as expected. All right. So there are many benefits of using SSG in Next.js. However, there are also some limitations. If I wanted to change this code post-production, it wouldn't work because all of these pages that we have are generated at build time, which means we need to rebuild our project for it to actually receive the update. However, there are a couple of ways to do it. So there's something in Next.js called ISR, so it stands for Incremental Static Regeneration, which is a technique used to generate static pages with dynamic content. It also allows us to pre-render pages at build time and then regenerate them on demand. So in this case, we can add a property here. We can say revalidate, and we can also give it a, for instance, say we'll regenerate the page every 10 seconds. So this means, in short, it means that it will regenerate the page every 10 seconds. We will not have to do anything. We don't need to rebuild anything. And if you think that, all right, 10 seconds might be too short, we could increase it. We can say, yeah, it's going to be 10 minutes that we want it to have it. So every 10th minute it will come with hydration and update your web page. It could potentially reduce the server cost. So this would be less expensive than having server-side rendering, which would trigger a new change every time you would come to the page. This would only do it once every 10th minute in this case, which is a lot better than having to rebuild and so on. So the ISOR can help you improve the user experience by providing up-to-date content without requiring the full page reload. Alright guys, thank you for watching. All of the best. Bye. Hello and welcome to this video guys.